What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Jon Jones reveals why he picked Alex Pereira over Tom Aspinall. On a recent podcast with Jeff Wu, Jon Jones confirmed that he turned down the $30 million offer to fight Tom Aspinall and also revealed why. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to help support the channel. According to Jon, he's not like every other fighter who's just fighting for money. If that were the case, he would have just fought Tom. Instead, he simply wants to be on the UFC White House card. That's it. He said the opponent doesn't necessarily matter to him, although for him, it makes more sense to fight Alex since he has more footage to study. And although Tom is the bigger guy, Jon thinks that a fight with Alex or Tom would both end the same way if he was able to get them to the ground. Here's what Jon had to say.
I don't think I care about what most fighters would care about.
Yeah.
Most fighters wouldn't turn down $30 million. They just wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
My goals are different than other people's at these days. Do you fight the guy who is impressive right now? No one, I don't think, is going to really care about a few years from now. Or do you fight the guy who's going to be remembered around the world for a very long time? I mean, in Brazil, Pereira is an absolute idol right now. Pereira, literally, one of the only things he says is trauma. And people are, no one even knows what it means.
Yeah.
But he has that it factor, and that's a part of the reason why I wanted to compete against Pereira. When I was 23 years old, I was fighting the top guys in the world. You know, I'm seeing Tom Aspinall around that same age getting manhandled by people that no one's ever heard of. I don't feel like I need him, especially after his last performance. I think time will show. But to me, it's the same fight. They both have holes in the grappling department. Fighting just to continue fighting doesn't make sense to me anymore. But to be at the White House is the reason why I'm out of retirement.
Do you think that with Jon expressing that the only reason he's out of retirement is to compete on the White House card, it will make Dana White, who, as we all know, considers Jon the greatest of all time, be forced to put him on the card? Dana seems to hold grudges for a while, and crossing him doesn't seem like a smart idea. I mean, just look at what happened with Francis Ngannou and the stories he's telling about him now, saying that he's not a good guy over something that happened over 5 years ago now. So given that Jon just backed out of the fight with Tom after agreeing and telling Dana that he would do it, it makes me question whether Dana will stay off his high horse and allow Jon on the card, or if he'll make an example out of him and keep him off the card out of spite. After all, there are a ton of options for the White House card, and everyone seems to want a spot on it. So what are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below. In the same interview, Jon Jones clarified that he thinks that Tom Aspinall faked his eye injury against Ciryl Gane. He said that Tom didn't even grab the eye that was poked under the eyelid, and basically, he just wanted a quick way out. Here's what Jon had to say. I watched the Curtis Blaydes situation where he looked like Blaydes came to beat Tom Aspinall up that night. Tom throws a kick and magically gets hurt. Blowing your knee is blowing your knee, but I would expect a fighter to at least attempt to stand back up or at least limp. And with Tom, he was just completely out of the fight. These are things that I'm paying attention to, and his last situation was Ciryl Gane. He gets poked in the eye. Normally you see fighters that are doing this number trying to get the doctor to look at it. And actually, initially, the doctor's just like, he seems fine. Tom's like, no, I can't fight. I can't see. The guy wasn't trying to see. The guy didn't want to see. The eye that he was covering appeared to be the eye that actually didn't get penetrated. One eye, finger goes all the way underneath the eyelid. The other eye, it was on top of the eyelid. And he ends up grabbing the eye where the finger was on top of the eyelid. So I don't even think Tom really knew which eye was supposed to be more compromised. He just knew that he had been fouled and it was his way out. So that alone shows me a little bit more about what's behind the facade of this whole Tom Aspinall character. UFC Qatar weigh-ins. Tomorrow afternoon, we have some amazing fights. But this morning, the fighters had to weigh in for their scheduled bouts. So let's take a look at some weigh-in highlights. Let's kick it off with Shamil Gaziev versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. If you watched yesterday's video, you'd know that Cortez Acosta is coming in on 3 days' notice to fight Gaziev. He also fought 3 weeks ago as well, and Cortez Acosta landed in Qatar just an hour before today's weigh-ins. Well, Shamil Gaziev stepped on the scale at 262 pounds, and Waldo Cortez Acosta came in at 265 on the dot. And as we're on the topic of the fight, we didn't have a reason as to why Sergey Spivak pulled out. Well, according to MMA Junkie's Nolan King, Spivak pulled out due to illness. Let's move on to the co-main event between Belal Muhammad and Ian Garry. Mr. Canelo Hands Muhammad was the first person to step on the scales in the morning, and he came in at 171 pounds. As for Ian Gary, he stepped in at 170, and with that, the co-main event for UFC Qatar is official. And lastly, the main event between Arman Tsarukyan and Dan Hooker. Apparently, ahead of the fight, there were some concerns about Arman not being able to make weight. This all stemmed from a clip dropping of Arman's weight being 159 pounds hours before the weigh-ins. Well, we got no idea why people were freaking out about 3 pounds with 12 plus hours to cut, because Arman was easily able to make weight. Arman stepped on the scale at 156 pounds, so it looks like after a long layoff, we'll finally be able to see Arman back in the octagon. As for the other half of the main event, Dan Hooker came in at 155.5 pounds, and the UFC Qatar main event is official. Drop your predictions down in the comments below. Paddy Pimblett and Ilia Topuria run into each other at UFC Qatar. Recently, we reported a lot of fighters, including Arman, Ilia, and Paddy, all staying at the same hotel in Qatar. Just a couple days ago, we had a situation where Arman and Ilia almost ran into each other when getting on and off elevators. Well, it looks like we now have an exchange between Paddy and Ilia Topuria. During the weigh-ins this morning, footage emerged online of the two interacting. It started off with Paddy saying, "What's happening? Everything all right?" To which Topuria responded by calling Paddy, and then Paddy responded by telling Topuria to calm down. Alvaro Colmenero shared the following footage on X.
What's happening? You alright? Yeah, man. So calm down.
Okay. Let's just leave it like that.
Did you get pulled away from someone you then? That's it. All you're going to say is got it tomorrow.
Of course, nothing came of it other than verbal jabs. The UFC security has been doing an amazing job keeping everyone away from each other during the event. Islam Makhachev sends a message to Dana White. Islam doesn't seem to be satisfied with the way Dana White and the UFC have been promoting fighters recently. In a recent interview in Russian, he claims that Dana White might be feeling burnout after all the success he's had years ago with the UFC. He thinks that Dana needs to return to his roots and go back to how he started everything, with hyping up fights and promoting fighters. He also said that he knows that Dana is actively looking for a replacement for himself, which is interesting. Here's what Islam had to say to Dana. "In the UFC, I think they started working on promoting fights less. In the UFC before, they would make a star out of anyone. They did it themselves, promoted fighters, and paid a lot of attention to it. But now, somehow, the UFC itself has lost interest. Dana is also already a big guy. Other things, he's involved in many other things too, you know. And if the UFC wants, they can make any fight loud. They probably need to want it. Dana needs, I don't know, to return to his roots, how he started, how he created all this. Well, you know, a person also loses motivation. So much time has been at the top, and I know that he is already slowly finding people who will replace him. It'll be interesting to see if the UFC will actually be able to replace Dana White one day without backlash. One person who could possibly do the job and keep it entertaining would be the one and only Conor McGregor. But with all of his issues of the past couple of years, it seems pretty unlikely. Hunter Campbell truly seems to be the one that's going to be replacing Dana eventually. Most of the fighters are going to him for bookings already, and he works side by side with Dana in the meetings. But if you remember when the UFC sold to WME IMG back in 2016 for $4 billion, a part of the deal was to keep Dana White as president because, according to him, they were not wanting to buy it unless he stayed in position. Now here is where it'll be interesting because TKO doesn't share those same thoughts and eventually wants to merge Dana out of position. It seems like he doesn't have as much control nowadays as he did before, and he always seems to push off most questions where before he would at least give hints. UFC updates. UFC Qatar is tomorrow at a very unusual time for us here in North America. The main card for tomorrow's fight card is set for 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't forget, with that aside, let's take a look at what's happening in the UFC. After we posted our video yesterday, JDM released a statement on the Islam Makhachev fight. For those of you that remember, we posted a video on his coach Ben Vickers, his statement, but now we finally got something from JDM, alongside pictures of him and his team during fight week for UFC 322. Thanks to those always supporting, Islam is one of the greats and deserved to win. I will learn and move forward. As we're on the topic of JDM, his coach reacted to the injury rumors during an interview with Submission Radio. Ben Vickers Vickers did not confirm nor deny the rumors. When you commit to having a fight, it doesn't matter what the is wrong with you. If anything was, we're not going to confirm or deny anything. When we decided to step in the cage, we believed Jack could win that fight. That's all I'm going to say. There are no excuses here. We didn't do enough on the day to get the job done, and that is it. All right, let's move on to Ethyn Ewing being welcomed back to work following his win against Malcolm Wellmaker at UFC 322. He went to work and received a huge welcome.
Yeah, Ethyn!
All right. All eyes on me. Back to the safety stuff. What's up, everybody?
Next, we have Rico Verhoeven leaving Glory. Could he potentially join the UFC? If you're sitting there like, who the is that guy? We got you. Rico Verhoeven is huge in the kickboxing scene, and many people consider him a legend. Last night, he vacated the Glory heavyweight title in a very, very lengthy post on Instagram. Don't worry, we won't bore you reading this. Side note, the last guy he beat was Artem Vakhitov, who is the guy that was supposed to join the UFC because he beat Alex Pereira. He's also very close with Tom Aspinall, as the two have trained together many times. Anyways, Verhoeven was apparently in talks with UFC according to Ariel Helwani. Rico Verhoeven has recently held talks with several promotions, including the UFC, per sources. He has not yet decided what his next move will be after vacating the Glory heavyweight title, I'm told. It's important to note that yes, Rico Verhoeven is a legend, but he's also 36 years old. Do you want to see him in the UFC's heavyweight division? Let us know in the comments below. And finally, we have Venum accidentally leaking Conor McGregor's custom UFC shorts for the White House event. A user that goes by Red Wolf MMA on X came across McGregor's custom UFC shorts back in September. Apparently, this leak only happened in Germany. The user tweeted about it, but we're guessing people didn't believe it, so nothing came of it. Well, now the UFC's Venum store revealed those same Conor McGregor shorts again, but this time, it's official. Yesterday, we were revealed McGregor's custom shorts for his UFC White House fight. The custom shorts have $1 bills along with the flag of Ireland. And as we're on the topic of McGregor, it looks like he's actually serious about his return. Many people noticed yesterday that McGregor has officially deactivated his Instagram account. Breaking: Anderson Silva versus Tyron Woodley confirmed. This morning, we got some surprising news from Most Valuable Promotions. According to the reports, Anderson Silva will fight Tyron Woodley on the undercard of the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua Netflix card. This is a cruiserweight fight at 195 pounds and will take place on December 19th. What are your thoughts on the fight? Let us know in the comments below. Ilia Topuria will be Islam Makhachev's toughest fight? The biggest question right now is, who is Islam Makhachev's toughest opponent? Is it Ilia Topuria with his striking and ability to knock anybody out? Or is it Shavkat Rakhmonov, who has the size advantage and wrestling skills to counter Islam? Well, according to Colby Covington, it's Ilia Topuria. Here's what Covington had to say in a recent interview with Helen Yee.
Either Usman or who else they got that? I mean, I want to see the Topuria fight. Everybody wants to see the Topuria fight. I think it needs to happen. You know, whether they do it at welterweight or they do it at lightweight, that fight needs to happen. We need to settle it. And I think that Ilia will be his toughest fight because he has that low center of gravity, so he's a lot shorter. So it's going to be harder to take him down and hold him down. So he's got good jiu-jitsu. I see him getting back to the feet, and obviously he's one of the biggest punchers the UFC's ever seen. So I'd like to see Ilia get his hands on him and knock him out.
On the flip side, Daniel Cormier thinks that Shavkat poses the biggest threat to Islam Makhachev, given his size and abilities. Here's what DC had to say. Islam versus Rakhmonov. The size of Rakhmonov, the wrestling ability, and the striking of Rakhmonov. If he was able to fight Shavkat, that would easily be the hardest fight of his career. So who do you think will be the toughest fight of Islam's career? Let us know in the comments below. Khamzat Chimaev reveals sad news on health. After Khamzat's dominant performance against DDP in August, the champion talked about wanting to have a quick turnaround in his post-fight interview. Well, since then, we've got nothing but Khamzat delaying his return. During a recent interview with Adam Zubarayev, it was revealed that Khamzat will be out until after Ramadan next year, which is around middle of March. According to Khamzat, he needs to get a small operation on his foot. My return after Ramadan. Right now, I have a small operation on my foot. I'll step away from training for a couple of weeks, heal my wound, so we'll prepare after Ramadan. Whoever they give me, that's who I'll face. It'll be interesting to see how things play out in the middleweight division. As we're on the topic of Khamzat, he also was asked if he would step in if an altercation was to happen in Qatar between Sarukian and Ilia Topuria. Khamzat said he would let the two fight it out, but if other people step in, they're getting it from Khamzat. If something happens, they'll fight each other one-on-one. We will beat the ones who will try to jump in.